What's up, everyone? Cody Martens here. You are watching the Luminary Agent Show. Unless you are listening to the Luminary Agent Show, then you're listening to it.
Those are my people, podcast people.
Yeah. I just had a really awesome conversation with my friend here, James Adair, with Sierra Pacific
Mortgage, the
That's
PDX
right.
home loan team.
The PDX home loan team at Sierra Pacific Mortgage. And we're doing our intro after the fact because we literally just launched into our topic.
I didn't even know we were recording. We were just talking.
Which was the best. And then we
happened.
just started talking about all of our Zen stuff, and it was very namaste. But
yes.
So we're gonna cut to the show now, and I hope that you guys enjoy it.
You will. One of the things that I think I'm interested in focusing on right now is not like, I want to sign up 10 more agents or I want to make this many phone calls. I'm just conscious about managing my own energy. And it sounds kind of fruity.
No.
But it's like I want to move my body and, in the morning and do some just 5 minutes of meditating and even a 15 or 20 minute jog, like nothing massive, but just like a little bit of morning work. And in the summertime, I find
energy flowing.
Yeah, but in my meditation, it's like I just sit quietly before the kids wake up, and I think about my intention today is to be as helpful as I possibly can be. I'm just focused on just thinking about just bringing helpful energy to my clients, to my partners, and I just keeping that present in my mind and totally disassociating myself from any outcome. I don't care.
And focusing on
focusing on my energy.
Ironically about that, you have zero ability to control the outcome.
Right. Well, I used to think otherwise.
You can put the work in.
Right.
You can do work on the process, but
right.
the outcome is not something you can control.
Right.
You can, as an example, you can put all the work and process into helping somebody with their loan.
Right.
And you have no control over whether or not they actually end up using you at the end of the day. They could switch lenders.
Right.
And that
happens.
The result,
right.
You don't have control over. You only have control over the process.
Right. I have control over the process and
what you put into it.
What I bring to it, how I show up, how I set my intentions, and how present I can be with them to help solve their problems, to help them feel safe, right?
And how you react to what happens to you.
Right. So if they don't end up using me and I felt like we had a great connection and then they just go dark and I'm like, why don't, and then you realize, we bought a house, and then you're just like, man. And, it's easy to just be like, I hate you.
Or to take that inward.
That's what I do. And just be like, well, I
wonder what did I do?
Exactly.
And then you get down and it actually ruins something good maybe that you do have.
Right. Exactly. So I always do take it inward, and it is hard not to take it inward and sink down with it and just just get down on yourself.
Yeah.
But just to know that, they got what they needed, and
you were obviously a part of.
Maybe I was a part of it.
You might not have got paid for it, but
right, exactly. They got what they needed, and I want to. What could I have done differently to make them understand that I could have helped them get the same or better outcome?
Yeah.
What could I do differently next time? So that's kind of the energy I try to bring whenever that does happen, and it always is happening a little bit.
Of course.
No one has 100% conversion.
This is kind of there's been a lot of talk lately of failure and how failure is actually a good thing. In a way, that's a failure.
Absolutely.
And the way that that's a good thing is by you learning from it and then implementing whatever you learned in the future,
And I also, sometimes I'll even follow up with that person who didn't end up working with me and kind of ask for criticism, ask for what could I have done differently, but I have to always, they say well, this and this, and if they get real with me, then I'm just like, well, that's wrong. Like, you weren't listening. You're wrong again. Like, I hate doing that.
Yeah.
I hate that kind of criticism. But
it's hard to hear.
It's hard to hear. And
are you a people pleaser?
Oh yeah. Yes. And it's like,
and so
to my detriment. I mean, it's like the,
yeah.
I mean, it's my foundational driver in
Are you bad at
life.
boundaries?
I've gotten so much better at it.
Do you think people pleasing though is like actually? I mean, I agree that it can be a detriment, especially because when we don't set boundaries with it. But do you also think that it's also been one of your strengths?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Like I said, it's a driver.
Yeah.
And I think if you're familiar with the DISC profile, I think people who are really into people are high on the I vector, the influence. It makes you kind of influential. It makes you kind of, that's like some people are kind of magnetic. And those are people who, are they draw you in because they're just naturally good with people. Yeah. So I think that's part of it.
It's actually interesting that you bring that up too, because that plays actually really well into kind of what my mission, like the point that I've been trying to get across with agents, is that I think that there are a lot of agents that are high I's.
Sure. Yes.
We love people.
Yes.
We want to hang out with everybody. We want everyone to like us. That's our thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been told all these years and shown through all of these successful agents and these programs that the way to succeed in real estate is by cold calling and door knocking and things that I think don't come well to people who are high I's because they want to be liked.
Right.
And they want to be positively received by people.
Right.
And at the same time, I talk to agents all the time who's not the number one thing that contributes to their business is their database and referrals from their database.
Right.
And yet that's not where they spend the majority of their time. You know, I talk to agents all the time that have been in the business for 5 years that don't have a database, that don't communicate with them, like in a systematic way.
I will say that I struggle with that too. I mean, as far as I'm being a high I, like I have a client list, and you know, I better make these calls, or I better get this email blast out about this thing, and but inside I'm like, I don't want to really bother them. Like, no one wants to hear from their lone guy.
Is the number one.
And that's part of the people pleasing thing is like, I don't want to. Like, I would hate for me to call them and say, hey, we should refinance, like sell them something, and then have it be my idea, and then they get fired up about it. We send the appraiser there, it doesn't appraise, and you're just like, well. Sorry. You know, and that happens sometimes. I need to just get over that.
I have two things for that.
Yeah.
Number one, we don't like bugging people, but what we really love to do is help people.
Exactly.
And when somebody said like, thank you for doing this, like I couldn't have done this without you, I get a huge rush, like a physical rush in my body.
Right.
So I've tried to frame it as these are people that I know that already like me.
Right.
If I can do something that will help their financial status in life, they're going to love me for that. And I have an obligation at that point.
Right. It's like
to do this for them.
This is and also I've been doing this 16 years, and like, you know, when I see stuff come through like my social feed with just like from other realtors about like, quit throwing your money away on rent, like buy a house. I'm just sort of like, is that, we're still talking about that? Like, I guess my point is, but someone needs to hear that. Always someone needs to hear that. So I don't want to bug people, and I don't want to bore people with like, loan stuff, you know, but it's my job. It's my job, and it's the way that I can influence their lives. And no one gets a mortgage. No one gets a mortgage unless it helps them.
Right.
So my job is really just to be the person they think of when they think they might want it, be the person to advise them, to keep track of it for them and maybe bring an idea to their attention. Like, hey, there's maybe an opportunity because the values are really up right now at the time of recording this, and we've had this kind of surprising drop in rates. Yeah. And
everyone's like, wait, what just happened?
I know, it really just like a total whiplash. But yeah, so I mean, it's on people's minds, and if I can show up and just say, hey, you know what? And I'm actually having a lot of conversations with clients around refinancing, and more than half of them are like, you know what? I probably wouldn't do this if I were you.
Yeah.
Like, you can ignore the hype until it goes down another half point or whatever. Or if your house appreciates another $50,000, then maybe it'll work.
And talking about your database, and one thing that you actually said that I love is you said, they're not my past clients, they're my clients.
Right.
Because you plan on someone being your client for life.
Well, as much as, again, I just try to be as present and as valuable as possible. I would love for them to continue to choose me, and if they don't, that's,
yeah, that's cool. But the amazing thing about that is if you actually told somebody, I don't think now's actually the best time for you to do that. That is such an impression on their mind that they're probably not used to getting from somebody who they might think of as, quote unquote, a salesman.
Right.
That I think that the likelihood of them using you in the future when they do need somebody, I think you just ratcheted that up 10 notches.
Yeah, I hope so. You certainly, I mean, and I like, I don't like doing mortgages for people when if they're just going to save $80 a month and it costs them $3,000 and they, and sometimes people still want to do it.
Yeah. But that's their decision.
It is, but it's but anyway, I try to say, are you sure, here's why I think maybe you should wait.
Yeah.
Or what have you. But every now and then people get into dire straits.
Yeah. The other thing though that I think is cool about running, when you do focus on your database and providing them value, one of the things that I've always loved is, as a realtor, it's actually my job, like one of the core parts of my job is to actually stay in touch with people. Which, if you are a high I and you do like people and you like having relationships, it's kind of nice that your job leads you toward the people that you know in your life and not away from them. And like I've noticed with myself, like if I can frame it as like, I get to call and talk to and catch up with 5 people today in my life who I haven't talked to in a little while. And I just want to know what's going on in their life. I almost don't even care if real estate or mortgage comes up.
Right.
It always does, by the way, because they always say, what's going on with you? How's work?
Right.
It's going to come up. So if you just call them because you're genuinely interested in what's going on in their life, I think it's great that that's actually part of our quote unquote 9 to 5. And our 9 to 5 is not that we have to stay off our phone.
Right. I mean, I think that's a great attitude to have. It's still I struggle with it just because of the.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's a vanity thing. Maybe it's just like, I don't want to be the guy that, I don't know. I don't think of myself as vain, but
every agent, like I talk to agents and loan officers all the time when they're asking like, how many times do you send out email newsletters or postcards? And is that, I don't want to bug people. That's literally always what they say.
Yeah.
But that is I think a limiting belief that we put on ourselves.
People are definitely,
we're bugging people.
People love talking about their homes. They love talking about real estate.
Yeah.
And this is what people talk about, all the time. Anyway.
Have you ever had that like actually substantiated where somebody was like, you're bugging me, stop it?
Sometimes people like, I'm surprised at who unsubscribes from my automated stuff. I'm just like, I thought we were friends.
I've had that happen
but then
before.
they call me back like a year later and they're like ready to do business. So the fact that
they just hate email.
Exactly.
It's nothing personal. They literally would do this to their mom if their mom had a newsletter.
But I gotta say, it's totally embarrassing how like crushed I am when I look at the unsubscribe list and I'm like, oh no, like
I've done 3 loans for
I
them.
know. And it's just like,
Our kids go to school together.
and I'm getting like a 45% open rate. I'm getting like these like crushingly wonderful stats, and everyone's reading it and like engaged. But like this one thing, and I just like zoomed in on that, like, oh god,
Isn't that funny?
like,
how
I'm
you
never
get-
doing this again.
You'll get 9 yeses and 1 no,
Yeah.
and the 1 no means more than all 9 yeses.
It's true.
It's so funny. How do we like? How do you work past that?
I mean, I think it's the pathology of sales, like the stuff that brings you into sales and sustains you and gives you the main toolkit to succeed
Yeah.
is absolutely the same thing that we're talking about. Is that
It crushes your hopes
that
and
attention
dreams.
to these little social
It's the
details.
blessing and a curse thing, right?
But like the super high D type people, they don't give a shit about
no,
Like they don't care about that
no,
stuff.
but they're also mowing over people left and right.
totally.
I mean,
but they're the ones that give salespeople like the salespeople.
yeah.
Rep.
Next.
Yeah, exactly.
Next. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I
And
just-
they'll knock on doors and they can just grind.
Yeah, they're the people that'll. I just saw it in the Masters of Real Estate Facebook group that I'm in. That somebody took their client's listing, expired it, and then immediately put it active again, and their client still got like 20 phone calls from realtors asking them to relist, and the home was back on the market active. Which, by the way, if a home is listed by another realtor, it's against
It's a no talk.
our
no
code of
talking
conduct
zone.
to try and solicit their business.
So we're like, well, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they didn't mean to relist with them, but they want to relist, but with me, not them.
Yeah,
that's-
exactly.
It's that expired zone. That's some what we call bloody waters.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. It's not a blue ocean, right?
Yeah.
It's a red ocean.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what? I actually like your thing you were talking about though about being more present in your day, because I actually just interviewed earlier today my coach. And
Okay.
he's a one thing coach. So Gary Keller's book, The One Thing.
Okay, sure.
And talks about what's the one thing that you can do right now to move the needle forward, and always focusing on that one thing. And I actually, a part of me feels like the one thing question is somewhat of a presence question as well, because it's like, okay, what's one, like, let's take out all this other things going on in my mind and all the other things that I could do, and let's sit down and just focus and be focused on what's the one thing I can do right now that makes the most difference.
I mean, I've been told to read. I own that book. I've read the first chapter of it.
It's actually pretty good.
Everyone says
It
I know it's
really
great.
is,
I've
yeah.
listened to Jay Papasan or Jay.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I've listened to him interviewed. He's a super smart guy. And I know I should read that book.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the one thing. Just finally read
Your
that
one
book.
thing is to read that book.
But I am in coaching as well. I've experimented with all kinds of different coaching. I've had multiple coaches in and out of my life over the years, and I get a little something from all of them,
Yeah.
clearly. I'm in group coaching right now, which I really think is cool.
That's cool.
I recommend that because not only do you get a coach, but you get this group,
Yeah.
and we're all talking to each other offline and texting each other and supporting each other, and they're all over the country.
So is the coaching session together then too?
We do twice a month on a Zoom call. There's 12 people in the group. And yeah, our coach brings in maybe a guest speaker, but sometimes we just she'll just have a topic and we'll round table it. And then we do 2 on-site, like we go to her house actually
Oh, wow.
in Manhattan Beach, California.
Oh, that's cool.
We don't stay at her house, but we
Yeah.
like spend the day at her house
Yeah.
and do sessions. And she's the one who's really got me more on this like energetic quest, which was surprising. But that's my biggest takeaway is really just
How has she, what's her framework for that? Or how, what is she...
she's in the mortgage business.
What has she done to actually cause that to have a difference for you? Tell me more about it.
She talks about it a lot. I mean, when we do our on-site retreats with her. Like the last time we got together, she brought in like an energy healer who's like in like robes and stuff. You know, like it was so
woo-woo.
We had crystals out. I mean, I swear to God, I was in there, was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But
who am I?
But it was like a pretty profound episode, and people had like emotional outbursts, and like we were all in this thing together, and he kind of went around the room and like it was unbelievable. And he explained, you know, like the chakras and like the different parts, energy, frequencies, and of our bodies and minds, and like we always do some meditation work at the retreats. We do some like deeper meditation work, but whenever we do a phone call, whenever we do a coaching meeting, like we start with like everyone just like get present, deep breaths. We do like 5 minutes of just like breathing and like just like let's all bring our focus here right now. So that's just kind of become a little bit more of my habit and more of my toolkit. And I really I think it's super powerful. Like I no longer have.
I was gonna say, what are some results you've noticed? How's it positively affected you?
I think it's a cumulative effect. I mean, it's not like totally game changing. It's very subtle, but it's really it makes it easier to connect with people, and that's something that I've developed as far as that like idea of in the morning meditate, think about how can I help people, focus on helping people with no connection to the outcome, because I used to kind of get a little bit wound up and live and die by the success and failures I would have in a given day, and I've been really trying to disconnect from that and disconnect from reacting to everything, and just knowing that if I'm coming from the heart and coming from absolute service and contribution, that it's just so much, I don't know, it's much more relaxed. And I think it people respond to it. I think it's changed a little bit. Energy, it changes my approach, and I'm just there to help. I'm not there to win or to take anything. How can I help? It's so simple, and I can't believe it's taken me long to get there, but it's
it probably disarms people, the other person, a little bit.
It should. They shouldn't have any defenses up around me, because I'm literally not going to hurt them. I am completely trustworthy, and I don't, and I'm not always the right fit. And that's totally cool too. Like, I'll help advise you working with another lender. Like, just keep me in the loop. I'll be a second set of eyes. I'll tell you what to look out for. I really don't care anymore.
That's been a big thing for me, I think, in the past little while, is knowing that like there's just so, at the end of the day, there's so much business out there, and when I'm trying to search
scintilla of it,
and when I'm trying to service and get to everyone, it's harder for me to work with the people that I really want to work with. Where if I was just to focus on people who I am a good fit for, and who are a good fit for me.
Your database.
Which is oftentimes your database. It's true, though.
It's true.
And think about it. You already have a relationship with these people. Mm-hmm. They're not a cold lead. They're not somebody you have to, convince of anything. But like I've been saying, it is not their job to remember you. It is your job to remind them.
It's your job to be remembered.
Absolutely. It totally is.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that so many people run into, is they see that somebody in their database bought a house on Facebook from somebody else, which happens all the time.
Saddest
and they're
thing.
Like, I can't believe they didn't call me. Like, this friendship is over, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how often have you actually talked to them in the past 4 years?
Well,
if you had,
I don't know.
If you had any relationship with them, you would have known this was coming.
I know.
I feel like.
Yeah, you would have known.
You would have, I mean, you could have stepped in and been like, hey, remember me?
I know.
We should really talk about that.
Yeah, being a client for life. I mean, Todd Duncan, one of our master mentors, he's a guru for the mortgage. He's like a Buffini, but for the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
He says, if you want to be their lender for life, you have to be in their life.
Which is namaste.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. If you're not in their life, then they are at a barbecue. There's always a realtor at every barbecue.
Yeah, there's always a
At least
realtor at
one.
everything. Let's be honest.
But it is everywhere. My point is, it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
There's business happening everywhere. I would love to know how many transactions. I mean, I'm sure escrow companies have access to this information. How many transactions happen in the metro area every month? So even if there's like 2,500 transactions a month, most realtors would be psyched to get 4 of those.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's a good living.
That's
a good living.
That's a rocking career.
Yeah.
Doing 4 a month.
Yep.
Right?
And all you have to do for that, I mean, there's a layer of you have to know what you're doing and talking about, but
Given.
I mean, if you just stay in touch with people, if you would make that your goal,
Right.
you know?
I want to do it in a way that is like fun, and how do we have fun with it? And the newsletter stuff. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's
How do you stay in touch with your database? Like, what things do you have that you do?
well, I've been doing the podcast and putting that on social media. I mean, I used to do email newsletter, but I think social media is like the new email newsletter. Like
Yeah.
putting something on to.
I mean, podcasting for sure. I love this video show that we're doing right now. I love it.
Me too.
It's fun.
It is fun. I love to listen to podcasts. That's how I consume information
Yeah.
now. My email. I don't have the same relation to email that I used to, for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be where
You want to be where the
I want to
people
be
are?
where I am, right?
You be a Little Mermaid. You're just trying to Little Mermaid. Be where the people are.
is that a line from Little Mermaid?
Yes.
Is that from one of the songs?
Come
When she grows
on.
legs, but she doesn't have a voice.
It's at the beginning before she loses her voice.
Okay.
So, back to your database, though. You're doing your podcast.
Doing the podcast. I'm putting it on LinkedIn and putting it on Facebook.
Do you cut up like little bite-sized pieces of it?
I don't. There's so much more I could be doing with it. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I just
It takes a lot of work.
I know.
I mean, I can attest to that.
I know. I don't.
But it's fun. What's your relationship to social media and your business?
It's very haphazard, and I don't. Yeah. I just. I'm embarrassed to say it's just like totally.
Yeah.
It's pretty random. I recognize that my social media, my Facebook, I have like 2,000 Facebook friends or something like that. And that's my community. I mean, that's my
Yeah.
world. That's my database. I mean, a huge portion of those are
Yep.
people from the East Coast and from college. And it's like, but I mean, I've gone through and I've kind of organized, like, these are professional partners. These are past clients. These are maybe could be a client type person.
Part of my database is who I am friends with on social media.
Right.
And we've gotten to this point now where, just like you said, email has kind of morphed into social media as far as like the main way of communication. So I have to treat my Facebook friends list like my email newsletter list
100%.
and how important it is.
It's more important. I
Yeah.
think. Well, it's more.
It's an
I mean,
it's-
if you send an email newsletter out and get a 25% open rate and then a 2% click-in rate,
Yeah.
that's probably pretty good.
Pretty good.
And I think that sucks.
Yeah. But I can put something on Facebook and get
It sucks that that's
200
good.
likes. Well, it's just technology changes and the things that we like and
Get 200 likes, and that just and yeah, it just means they like. I mean, it means they've seen it and
and because
approve.
they've interacted with it,
Yeah.
then there's a greater chance that the algorithm is going to show them the next thing that I post that might be about real estate. Maybe the thing that got me 220 likes was the fact that I did that awesome recreation photo of me and my cousins. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So that got like 250 likes, you know?
I
But
was on
now
that.
that people have liked that, there's a greater chance that they're going to see something else that I post about if I post about real estate or about marketing. So that's why when people say, don't just post about real estate or mortgage, that's why they're saying that.
Right.
You know?
Because you want to engage,
the engagement and the attention is so important.
I read somewhere that when you're interacting on Facebook or when you're posting something on Facebook, like imagine yourself at a party. And like, if you just are sitting there talking about your open houses over and over again, like people are just going to walk away from you.
Or you're under contracts.
Like just,
another pending.
Yeah. It's like, bye.
Would you ever say that to someone in person?
I'm going to talk to this guy over here.
Another pending. Hey, a pending 4 days. It was funny. I did a video about that the other day on my Instagram, and I was like, stop, for the love of God, stop saying I just got this under contract or this just went pending. You're just bragging about the fact that you just made all that commission. That's really what that is.
Yeah.
I talked to a couple of my friends about this, and they were like, yeah, what do I care? Good for you. Congrats.
I wonder if you and I are more sensitive to it, not just because we're in the business, but so many of the people we're connected to. I mean, as a lender, I must have 200, 300 agents in my feed or whatever.
It's probably a part of it.
And so we get a little bit like, enough already.
But if that's all that they're posting, if I go to their Instagram feed and that's all I see, like, what does that tell me about that person?
They're a real estate agent.
Yeah, but they're not providing me anything. They're just boasting about all the business that they've done.
Yeah, I think, we got to do better. Think more like a storyteller. Like what's, and the story shouldn't be about you, should be about the viewer, right? It should be about your client.
Yep.
Like how does this home going pending affect someone who's watching? Just almost just be like, the market is still hot.
Yeah.
That's even that, as sort of like soft as that is more meaningful than like another pending. It's like,
or talk about why. Like,
exactly.
Are you doing something innovative in marketing that people should know about that is the reason that home went pending in 4 days? Like,
or I always think about on social media when realtors are bringing a house to, I did a podcast about this as well, like using like storytelling marketing when you're marketing a property on social media, and the story is not the house, the story is who's the person who should buy this house.
Yeah.
And start talking about that person, like, wow, this is perfect, this house is for the family that has to be in this school and like loves to cook because this kitchen has got this thing, or it has this, like if you have that fourth kid, this yard is like double sized, you know, or something like where you say something specific that might trigger, oh wow, that I know who should buy that house, or I know what problem this house might solve.
Because a lot of times people are like, we gotta move because we have no backyard, or we need a bigger kitchen. Like it's a specific feature that they might be actually looking for as the reason for why they're expanding.
Totally, or quiet, or in the middle of everything, or whatever. Exactly. Yeah. So there you have to tell the story of, you know, not just 4 bed, 2 bath, $599.
Yay! And the peasants rejoiced.
So I would experiment with that. I think that it would be, if I was a real estate agent, I would be really trying to find ways into that type of thing on social media in particular, because I don't think social media necessarily sells the house. It's an opportunity to to boast and to remind people you're in business, and I'm hosting this open house and whatever.
Yeah, I always think
it's also like, try to think of it from, how can this be, what's unique about this that we could create a narrative around.
And is there a more fun way that you can do it?
Yes.
Speaking of fun, which you had mentioned earlier.
Oh my God. My most recent podcast that I did on the Equity Accelerator podcast, I interviewed an old musician friend of mine, and he used to be, he's still a touring songwriter, and he moved from Nashville to LA, and he bought he told his personal story on my podcast. He used to be called Johnny Corndog, but his name is actually Johnny Fritz. And he's this absolute character. And he has like crazy hair and this big bushy beard, and he wears like weird like Florida shirts and stuff. And but his Instagram, it's at Dad Country. Okay. So check out Dad Country if you're an interested kind of Instagram real estate person. He's in LA, and he like is embracing like the cheesy LA. His catchphrase is LA's only realtor. and he has this thing where this picture, and he's just like in this like polyester suit, and he says LA's premier used house salesman. And he has so much. He has like T-shirts and like beer cozies, and he makes these like leather like coaster, and like airbrush stuff. He has so much weird swag and merch.
And you want it all.
So I love him because he's having so much fun with it, and his Instagram is hilarious. And he just like videos himself like busting up into these like $2 million, $5 million listings with his like suit and his hair, and like. And he said he's already sold 5 properties this year, and it's his first year.
Wow.
So he's just having a blast.
But he's doing it his way.
Totally.
Right?
And he's
and
still touring.
He's
still flying out and doing shows and writing songs and trying to make records and stuff.
LA's only realtor.
He's just a goofball. And he said he's really excited because he's like, oh man, they called me about getting my name on those like dividers at the grocery store.
Yes.
And he's like, I know that no one's gonna call me. He's like, but people who know me, and if they see that, they're gonna be like,
that's perfect.
Johnny, you've done it again.
Johnny Corndog.
Johnny Fritz. Johnny Fritz. He's the best. So if you're in LA and you need a house, check out at Dad Country. And he's got like 8,000 Instagram followers because he's been doing this music thing for so long, and he's kind of pivoted into real estate. But yeah, that's an example of
having a good time with it.
And just being a character.
Well, that's fun. I mean, that's fun, right?
Yes, I know. And then we're gonna turn this off, and I'm gonna go back to my like and it's gonna be hard for me to like pull out and be like, how can I have fun too? I need to order some swag. That's my next easiest
I got a guy
step.
This has been good.
Yeah, I think we got
whole thing
got some stream of consciousness there.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell people, we'll finish up. Tell people where they can find you.
Find me on the internet if you're in Oregon or Washington. pdxhomeloan.com. That's my main handle, James at pdxhomeloan.com.
And your podcast is called?
The podcast is The Equity Accelerator with James Adair. So check it out.
There you have it.
More fun conversations like this.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the Luminary Agent Show. Appreciate it. And hope everybody has a wonderful weekend.
Hey!